We live.
What's going on, family, and welcome to the Collective Podcast. I'm your host, Brother King Cam, and I'm riding with my Brother Ben X, Sister Konisa, aka How to Eat to Live Girl, and Heck of a Mecca. And we got an incredible podcast lined up for you all tonight. We're going to be discussing Kim Kardashian and her recent comments about being raising her raising her children on her own, as well as the controversial nomination of Robert F. Kennedy as the Secretary of Health. So those are the topics that we're going to be discussing tonight, family. So we just want to welcome y'all to the Collective Podcast. As I mentioned before, make sure that you follow the Collective on all social media platforms: YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Make sure that you tapping in. And I'm gonna pass it to Brother Ben X.
Yeah, man. This is something we're going to be doing every week, man. This is the collective. We have decided to come together, man, and strive to defend the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and represent the teachings and comment on different current events and issues to kind of create productive dialogue, give our perspective, and touch on topics that our people that are impactful to our people. Important for them to know about. And if there's a subject like celebrity news and things of that nature, we always want to create the dialogue, not to just gossip, but to see how we can apply it and learn from it and self improve from these situations as well. So I'm excited for our first episode together, and I'll pass it to Sister Konisa.
Okay, so what y'all want me to say? I'm a part of the collective. I go by How to Eat to Live Girl on all social media. And I'm excited for tonight. We're gonna be talking about, the JFK, not yeah, JFK Jr. I'm sorry, Robert Kennedy. um
Robert Kennedy.
and yeah, Robert Kennedy. I don't know why I said JFK. But yeah, I'm excited to talk about it. So passing on to Becca.
Peace and blessings. I am Heck of a Mecca, and you can follow me on all social media platforms. I don't even know what my social media handle is, honestly, because I keep changing it. Um, but Heck of a Mecca, and I second everything that everybody else said.
That's what's up. So yeah, so that is would that be considered one third or one fourth of the collective? We got some members that you don't see. You got an army
Yeah.
that you don't see and an army that you see, family. So that's the collective. So we want to go jump right into it tonight. And as we mentioned, we want to talk about first the controversial pick of the health secretary. As the new administration's coming in, everybody is things are getting settled and different moves are being made now after November the 5th has taken place, and one of those moves is Robert F. Kennedy Jr. being nominated for Secretary of the Health Department. So, what I want to do is I want to get into a video of Robert F. Kennedy kind of laying out his policies on what he plans on doing, uh, and why he is going to make America healthy again, right? And kind of just lay out some of his perspective around that. So we want to jump into the announcement and get some commentary from one of the news outlets, and then from there we're gonna go ahead and get a perspective from the rest of the family. So
Is
we'll
that the
go
one
ahead
where
and
he had the blue suit on?
I believe that is the one with him having the blue suit on.
Okay, want me to play it now?
Yes, sir.
and and protect our shoreline, protect our homeland. But most of our military budget is not about national defense. It's about international domination, and that's not a good use. It's not helped us. It's actually made us more isolated in the world and bankrupted us. I'm going to end the chronic disease epidemic. When my uncle was president, 6% of Americans had chronic disease. Today, 60% do. We're the sickest country in the world. We pay more for health care than per capita than any country in the world, and we have the worst health outcomes. We're behind Cuba, Mongolia, Nicaragua in our health outcomes, and it's because of our chronic disease. We had the highest death rate in COVID. We had 16% of the COVID deaths. We only had 4% of the world's population, and that's because we have higher chronic disease than any place in the world. And the people who died from COVID, according to CDC, the Americans who died 3.8 had on average 3.8 chronic disease. So they had asthma, obesity, diabetes, and something else. And I'm going to end the chronic disease epidemic, and that now is our biggest expense. Is 4.3 trillion a year, and this is part of the process of balancing our budget so that we don't, that is an existential threat to our country. There's other existential threats, AI, that nobody's talking about. AI can either serve the public interest, make government transparent and a servant of the people, or it can be used by government to exert totalitarian controls and turn us all into slaves. And we need a president who's thinking about how to keep AI in this country, how to keep blockchain in this country, and make it work for our democracy, our republic, and for the American people.
You've spoken, I guess, a few times about skeletons in your closet. I think you posted about that today on X, if you will. You started your campaign with that. I'm wondering,
Yes, sir.
All right, family. So there, you have it. You heard it from RFK himself, where he kind of laid out what his plan is as far as making America healthy again. And one of the things that he brought up was the fact that he wanted to address the chronic disease. So that's something that's huge in the community and that's huge in the world. I want to read something from this article that was put up by NPR, and they covered RFK. And in that article, he says that I don't know if it's are you able to see that on the screen? Okay, we are able to see that on the screen. Okay, so it says the central mandate is to reverse the chronic disease epidemic, which is the leading cause of death in the U.S. and drives massive healthcare costs. So, with that being said, family, what is it? What are your thoughts on this pick?
Hold on. That mug added shoot. That mug it took me. Had me on there.
Just closer. Why we all arranged now differently?
Oh yeah,
When
we
we
got rearranged on the screen.
There we
background was
go.
that?
Well, so go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say like I feel like this is new for America, like the government, the world, because for so long we know that the government hasn't necessarily had Black people's interests, at the top. So for someone to come in, especially under someone that is not so liked right now, the president, and have him up under him as a uh, person that will make choices um, for the world, really, but mainly for America. I think this is going to be a drastic change if he goes in and does what he says he's going to do. So I'm excited for that.
Yeah, I honestly gotta see it to believe it because they always saying what they gonna do, they gonna do this, they gonna do that, and a lot of times they don't be pulling through on it. So I mean, but if he does pull through on it, I definitely think that it's a good move. Like you said, what 60% of the country has illnesses, chronic illnesses. Like that's absolutely insane.
Mm.
Yeah. So you're talking like cancer, AIDS, and honestly, I feel like that's a large issue to deal with alone, like cancer and the diabetes epidemics. Like I don't know how he gonna do it, but those are some big shoes to fill.
Mm.
So if he
Absolutely.
does it,
You know,
that's
does it seem like one of the things though is that what we can all agree on, is that America is in a health crisis, and one of the things when he's talking about addressing chronic disease epidemic, he's talking about specifically big food and big pharma, you know, and one of the things is that he talks about their lobbying. Those industries use the lobbying power to maximize profits at the expense of the country's health, wherein they utilize their ability um, with and power within the United States government to get money, get more funding, and make more money. Right? Ultimately, make more money while p- providing a low quality of food and healthcare. And that is a real issue that has to be addressed because up until this point, no one has sat and really addressed that issue. One
Right.
of the things that he mentioned in interview was that when his uncle John F. Kennedy was the president, there was, I believe, a 6% chronic disease issue in the United States of America. He says now in 2024, 60% chronic healthcare disease or chronic disease is in the United States. He said we are the sickest nation
Mm.
in the world. Now,
Mhm.
how does that connect to what the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has been teaching us? That connects because they have been teaching us and exposing the fact that this country is getting sicker just physically. We just staying on physical right now, has gotten sicker because of the food being poisoned, the air being poisoned, the water having chemicals. We know about Flint, Michigan. Dr. Wesley talked about death by zip code. So these are not conspiracy theories. These are not things that Robert F. Kennedy is coming off the cuff with. Big pharma and big food are the driving forces behind chronic illness, and it has to be addressed. Brother Ben?
Yeah, I'm sitting here and I'm looking up the causes of chronic disease, you know, because if when we think about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, this is a lifestyle that we are hoping that the people pick up on. I think the minister, even one of the lectures, talked about life insurance or health insurance, and it was basically how to eat to live. Your
Right.
hospital is your kitchen. That's the first. And of course, if you have freak accidents and things of that nature, you have to go to a hospital and a specialist. But a lot of the sicknesses that we have can really be fought in our kitchens. So I wanted to look
Mm,
up what are some of the causes of chronic disease. And one of them is tobacco use. It says smoking and exposure to secondhand smoke are major risk factors for chronic disease. Poor nutrition, diets, high in saturated fats, sugars, and salt, and low in fruits and vegetables can increase the risk of chronic disease. You have physical inactivity. A lack of regular physical activity can contribute to chronic disease. Excessive alcohol use, harmful use of alcohol can increase the risk of chronic disease. Now, when I look at this is all self improvement. And yes, you're going to have some things that may run in the family, but I think Brother Neri said it ain't always that stuff run in the family. You don't run in the family.
mm.
Right.
You
That's
don't
right.
exercise. And we know Master Father Muhammad teaches us that walking is the best exercise. So there's even no excuse. You may not be able to lift from chairs and lift up the whole weight room like they do on Instagram, but if you just walk every day, that's a level of exercise. And so all of these things right here, if we was to submit to how to eat to live, if we was to submit to our restrictive laws, a lot of these things that people are caused with could be eliminated by just the discipline. So we can have the shots and we can get the vaccines and we can get these things, but those are kind of like band-aids, if you will. If you go back to living that same lifestyle, you're going to gain the weight back. You're going to get all of the stuff that got you there. So I'll close with this. There's a lot of people who say during October, F cancer. I get it.
Mhm.
F cancer. No, F the foods that cause the cancer. F the lifestyle and the habits that causes the cancer, because cancer is just a byproduct of what we eat in our lifestyle. A lot of times, not all the time. So that's my thoughts on it. With this chronic disease thing, let's also, as we analyze this and we hope that they come in and implement certain things, that we're mindful of what we do have control over and what we put in our mouths.
And I've been hearing on the news as well too, like some of the language that they're using around, some of these new, well, specifically around RFK. They talk about conspiracy theorists. They talk about, kind of fringe positions that he take. And anytime they use the term fringe, it's usually because they're trying to say he's an outlier. Nobody really agrees with him. It's kind of like one of those, way out perspectives to have, and it's not really based around logic or reality. But at the end of the day, it's going to take extreme change to start to see, something better happen in America. You're going to need extremes now. It's not
Right.
going to be, it's not going to be, any more of the status quo. And I think a lot of people in mainstream media, a lot of bureaucrats in government, a lot of establishment individuals are afraid of any type of change because it disrupts what they already have going on. So in the Final Call newspaper, last week's article of the Final Call newspaper, where it talks about the medical apartheid. And on page 12, it says, still suffering and dying from medical apartheid. The horrible history of medical malpractice, experimentation, and excess deaths blacks have suffered in the hands of doctors and researchers is long and appalling. So understanding that there's a history that exists in America of medical apartheid, of excess deaths among the black community, you know, food and uh, medical malpractice and experimentation, all of these things taking place. There needs to be an overhaul in who's running the Food and Drug Administration. There needs to be an overhaul of who is handling Medicare, excuse me, not Medicare, but medical health and healthcare in this country, so that we can begin to see a change. Because a tick from 6% to 60% is in the wrong direction. Is not the way that the country should be going. Not the way the country should be going.
I mean, but really, the pharmaceutical industry is really nothing but placebos, and it only heals, or doesn't really heal, but it treats the symptom. It doesn't actually get to the root cause of what is going on inside of the body. So the only way we're going to be able to do that really is to go into our kitchen and begin to eat the right thing and begin to become disciplined in what we consume, not just physically but also mentally, because our environment can also
Be
play
toxic.
part in, yeah, it can play a part in um our illnesses. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's an onion. It's full of layers.
Absolutely, absolutely. What have y'all been seeing around the reactions to this nomination for RFK and making America healthy again?
Well, for me, like I've been seeing on the news, they kind of painted him as someone that was an anti-vaxxer. Um, and now they're saying that his policy has changed where he feels like he wants to give the people an option. So a lot of people aren't necessarily, or they weren't for him in the beginning, but I don't know the perspective of the people like right now. But um, I think it's a probably a fair amount of people that are for him and not so for him as well.
Mm.
But that vaccine thing, that's a very big topic right now,
Well,
especially
yeah.
after the
Let's. I'm glad
situation.
you. I'm glad you brought that up. Because it's a lot. Remember, during the pandemic, there was a lot of the conversation around vaccines was so hot, was
Right.
so what's the term? I can't even think of the term that they use, but it was a very, very hot topic of conversation. Clubhouse was going off, Twitter was going off. They created something called the disinformation dozen. They were snatching people off of social media platforms from having a different opinion around the vaccines, bringing different information. All of this stuff was taking place just to find out that what was being said about these vaccines was actually true. Even Dr. Fauci came out and stated
Yep.
that what was being said was actually true. So we have a clip from RFK talking about his position with the vaccines and how the vaccines have disproportionately affected black boys. We were on a high level conversation. Brother Ben, could you drop that?
Yes, sir. Here we go.
So you speak was at the Fox Theater when Vaxxed the
That's
doc.
not it. Hold on. That's not it.
Nope.
Here we go.
And met Minister Farrakhan. He asked me to come out there. I think it was maybe in 2015, 2016, because he had read an article that I did about the disproportionate injury to Black children from certain vaccines, from the MMR vaccine. There was a study that came out in 2005. The chief author was a guy called Frank DeStefano. He's the head of the Immunization Safety Office at CDC. And he had done a study of Georgia children to look at the MMR vaccine. And during the course of that study, and there were 5 other authors, during the course of that study, they found out that Black children who got the vaccine on time, in other words, before 36 months, that they had a 2.5 times greater incident of autism than Black kids who waited or who didn't get it at all. And that Black boys had a 3.8, so 3.5 times, more than 3.5 times, almost 4 times the rate of autism than kids who waited or didn't get it at all. And so I had done an, and then the CDC had actually, the lead author was a guy called William Thompson, who's still at CDC. He was the senior vaccine safety specialist. And he had revealed this data. He had said, holy cow, this is really bad. And on a Saturday, I think it was September 12th, 2002, all of the authors were called to a conference room at CDC, and they were asked to bring their race-based data. In other words, all the data that revealed the race of the kids and that revealed this signal. They all had to destroy them.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so in that clip, as you can see, family, the Robert F. Kennedy Jr. lays out some of the behind the what's the term I want to use? Some of the, I don't want to say behind the scenes, it's not a movie, but some of the stuff that was going on in the background when it comes to the CDC, right? Those who have looked into the CDC and the MMR vaccine, did you come across people like William Thompson? You familiar with his whistleblower status? You familiar what he was able to find out? That's what RFK is referencing. When they pulled the race-based data, they was able to see that the MMR vaccine given to Black boys at a particular age had a significant effect, greater effect on them in a negative way than on other children that have received the vaccine. So,
can I share another video?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
From Twitter. Here, I want to read something real quick. This looked like it was recent. This was posted on Twitter yesterday. Got 1 million views. I want y'all to check this out.
You know, when we passed the Vaccine Act,
Y'all can hear it?
when I was,
Yes, sir.
there was only 3 vaccines, and I was compliant. But when we passed the Vaccine Act, it made vaccines very, very valuable. And all of a sudden, there was a gold rush to add a lot of new vaccines to the schedule for diseases that aren't even casually contagious, like rotavirus, like hepatitis B. Why are we giving hepatitis B vaccine to a 1-day-old child? Hepatitis B, you know, the major vectors for that are it's sexually transmitted or by needles. Why would you give that to a 1-day-old child? It's really a profit motive. Now, you're right that correlation is not causation, but the Institute of Medicine has looked at the vaccine schedule and said in their 2011 report, there are over 150 injuries that are likely to be associated with vaccines that have never been studied. So it's the CDC's responsibility to do those studies, and they've been ordered again and again and again to do them, and they have refused. And that's wrong. We need an agency that is putting public health first and not pharmaceutical profits. You were talking about the opioid crisis. The opioid crisis, you know, started with the oxycodone. Now it's, you know, fentanyl. But the same companies that got the FDA to lie to us about the addictiveness, lie to every doctor in this country about the addictiveness of oxycodone and get a whole generation addicted. Those are the same companies that make these, other products. And the 4 companies that make vaccines in this country, Merck, Sanofi, Glaxo, and Pfizer, have paid over $35 billion in criminal penalties over the past decade for lying to doctors, for falsifying science, for defrauding regulators. And we need to keep an eye on them. We can't just trust them. If they say it's a vaccine, we all trust it. We need to have actual science on it. And I think that's all I say. I don't want to get rid of vaccines. If you want to take a vaccine, you should be able to do it. We need good science, and that's all I've asked for.
There
Oh,
it is.
Oh my gosh. That sounds so familiar.
You muted, Brother Cam, if you saying something.
No, that's me.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's me.
Brother.
I'm just thinking, like, from that last clip, it reminds me of how the minister told us, do not take this vaccine, the COVID vaccine, because it's an experiment. And America's history literally shows you that they have experimented on us like for years. And so why would we think that this is any different? Like, I don't know why we would think it would be different. And the fact that he's even speaking the way he's speaking shows me or tells me that he knows what he's talking about. And I think that he would do good in that position. So yeah.
Yeah, that part about the hepatitis B, having children, that's definitely what they try to push. You want to get the hepatitis B shot? You want to get this? And it's like so many. I think there was a chart I seen on Instagram one time. It had like all these different, shots on the baby, like how many they really try to, influence you to get. And it's just so much, and like you said, for profit. Because a lot of this stuff isn't needed. The minister, as you said, Brother Cameron, I think there's a video that we may be sharing. I think the minister even mentioned it in this video about like not being against vaccines totality, but we do need those who are researching. Even on July 4th, the minister mentioned like we need our own people to look into it. Not that he's against it or the concept of it, but we don't know what they putting in us. We don't know what their motive and reason is, especially when they have a history of, with the smallpox and things of that nature with others. So I think that we have to be mindful. We have to educate ourselves about, what we shouldn't be putting in our bodies. And like he said, find the scientists and find those who have our best interests, not profit of, I can get all these people to take a shot or to get this. And I'm pretty sure they're getting paid on the back end. So that's my thoughts on it, is just making sure that we aren't just taking their advice and that we're strong enough, because there's consequences that may come with that. They may look at you a certain way when you deny getting the vaccine. You may not, like, during the pandemic, if you decide not to get a certain shot, you may be denied coming to work or your job. But then you see years later, they backtracking a lot of the stuff that happened. Now, all these people that done took it in the name of believing them, they don't know what may be going on with their body. You know what I mean? So now they're coming out and this stuff is being exposed and they're having to, come back and backtrack. But this stuff is already in people's bodies. They already, however they body gonna handle it. So yeah, that's my thoughts.
And I want to say, dealing with the babies and the children, I'm trying to force vaccines on babies. I've seen videos of women just having babies and the hospital actually trying to get like child services called on the mothers because the mothers refuse to give their babies vaccines, or the hospital trying to deny the mother the right to not vaccinate their child. They tried to do that to us with our first son. And good thing that we read the pamphlet, because in the back there is a religious exemption. And they tried to be like, no, like you have to get the vaccine. It's like, okay, but it's right here that I don't have to. And so obviously it's written, so you kind of have to follow, but they really, really, really try to force that down your throat. And it's just crazy that they would actually go to the extent of actually trying to take your child away for you not wanting to vaccinate them.
Well, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan in Towards Night of America talked about America falling, and the reason why is because of her inordinate greed, right? Inordinate lust and greed. And this is a prime example of it. As you watched in the video, RFK highlighted the Mercks of the world, the Pfizers of the world, the vaccine manufacturers, if you will, who make these vaccines all for profit. Brother Ben mentioned the fact that people are taking these shots, and then years later, information is coming out that was labeled misinformation or incorrect information. I don't like using the terms they make up, misinformation, disinformation. But incorrect information was labeled at that point in time when people were skeptical. Just like in the time in I believe it was the 60s, when the most honorable Elijah Muhammad instructed the followers not to take the polio vaccine, and they were ridiculed and maligned at that time about not taking the polio vaccine. Years later, come to find out that that vaccine injured people. The same thing took place with this COVID shot. And
Yep.
in this article in the Final Call newspaper, it says that there was San Francisco transit system workers. 6 of them were fired for refusing to take the COVID shots. They've just been awarded almost $8 million from this from the city of San Francisco because of their refusal to take the COVID vaccine and being unemployed, being fired. But now they actually won their lawsuit, being awarded 1.2 million or 1.5 million dollars each, because come to find out that that whole mandate and everything was illegal, right? So this is what we looking at, and it states specifically that the San Francisco Bay Area Rapid Transit District must pay about $7.8 million to 6 former employees who lost their jobs after the district denied their request for accommodations for religious exemption for BART's COVID-19 mandate. So exactly what Mecca just talked about, the religious exemption. These people was denied that religious exemption, and now years later, look, they being paid financially and rewarded for that after having to go through such that traumatic experience. So these are just examples of what we seeing, and then man, hopefully as time goes on, we're able to see the effects of what's taking place with this RFK nomination, because we know for a fact that America needs an overhaul. Okay, is as far as health is concerned, for sure, amongst other things. But now we want to kind of switch gears and get over into
Well, we
yes, sir.
do. Before we switch topics, we got one more video from the minister.
Oh yeah, we got to cue that up.
So I want y'all to see this. This is the minister's perspective and view on. I forgot where he was. I believe he was in the Caribbean somewhere, but don't quote me on it. But this is the minister on vaccines. Play.
See, I was going to Africa one day and I had to get a shot. And I asked the doctor, who was a friend of mine, before you give me that shot, do you know what's in that vial that you're vaccinating me with? He said, yes, it's on the label. I ain't asked about the label. I asked you, did you know what was in that vial? His answer, no, I really don't know. How could we let the former colonial and slave master bring in vaccines for our people, and we don't have scientists or laboratories to look at this and test it to see if it is what is on the label? Now, I may not get a chance in my lifetime to come back to Belize, but I do love you, and I want you to love yourself. Thank you. And I will always love you as well. Now, look, I know this is not easy for you to swallow, but I have a little more to give you to swallow. Look, I was in Zimbabwe. Have you heard of that country? Its president is Robert Mugabe. I was in the capital of Zimbabwe, and they were telling me that 5,000 Zimbabweans are dying every week, 20,000 a month from AIDS. And the biggest industry in Harare, which is the capital, is the making of coffins. I was the guest of the Ministry of Health. Please listen. And my sister who was talking, she said, "We are so happy that every child in Zimbabwe has been vaccinated." Every child. You trust your enemy too much. The enemy came to the native people in America, the Indians, and said, in the winter, you all need blankets. We're going to supply blankets. But they put smallpox in the blankets, and when the Indians wrapped themselves in the blankets, they were wiped out. You're dealing with an enemy that is a murderer from the beginning and a liar, so says Jesus in the book of St. John. Look, man, I know what I am talking about. See, they won't confront me. They talk about me, but they won't confront me. Because the truth in the mouth of a man who is not afraid to give his life for his people makes him a dangerous man. Right now, there are AIDS and African genocide, illegal wars. Look at President Obama, our brother. We were so happy when he was elected president, and he wasn't in office 3 months when they gave him the Nobel Peace Prize. And the man is bombing, let me see how many countries. He's bombing in Yemen, in Somalia, in Iraq, in Afghanistan. See, what you doing? Just sending drones. What is a drone? It's something that flies. No pilot, but somebody back in a room is guiding this drone, and it's dropping bombs, killing even American citizens that they say are enemy combatants. I wonder what they got for me. Right now, the President of the United States is given authority to assassinate American citizens. There's a group that can pick out somebody that they feel is an enemy to America's policies, and they'll send somebody to assassinate them. I understand that 4 members, so-called gang members, didn't wake up one morning because in the middle of the night, their throats were cut, nearly ear to ear. Who you think killed them? Anytime a black man can organize men, he's dangerous. And if he don't play ball with the real demons, it ain't another gang killing them. That's high up stuff. That's high up stuff. Look at what the scripture says. We war not against flesh and blood, but against principalities and powers and the rulers of the darkness of this world and spiritual wickedness that's up in high places.
So that's the minister's perspective, man, uh, on the vaccines, man. What's y'all thoughts, man, and feedback on that little clip right there? First one for me is that the minister said, he asked them what's in it, and they said, look at the label. He said, I didn't ask you what was on the label. So you have people that are practicing, if you will, and they don't even know what's in it. They following the system, giving you what somebody else said was in it. So that they don't even know what's in it, man. So just the wisdom of the minister to ask what's in it and not just be okay with what's on the label. That's the level of care of our bodies we should have and want to know what's really going into our body. So that was the first thing that stuck out to me, is that the minister was like, I didn't ask you what was on the label. You can put anything on the label, but what's actually going in me?
And that not only applies to the vaccines, but I think that's something that um, RFK is supposed to be working on too. Is like getting clear labels for our food, so we know what's going on, because we're so uneducated about what we're consuming. I think that once we get better understanding, that takes part of us to do research too on what kind of things are we taking into our bodies. So as far as that video or that last clip, what stood out to me was you can't trust your enemy. Like, you just can't. You cannot trust them to control our food supply, our health, our medical care, all that kind of stuff. We just can't trust it. So we need to be doing our research on what they're giving to us or what they're saying we need to have. Just research everything, really. Don't trust, don't trust everything.
And also just how gullible we are. How we're just willing to take anything without even knowing what's inside of it. We're willing to eat anything without knowing what's inside of it. And that's honestly how they've been able to do what they've done. We don't do our own due diligence to check behind what they're doing. We just trust them. We're so gullible. We just trust them.
We have an enemy. That's what I'm gonna say. We have an enemy, and because of our knowledge, our lack of knowledge of the enemy, then he's constantly able to manipulate and oppress, enslave, and deprive us in all facets of human endeavor in life because of the lack of knowledge of him. So we thankful for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan and the divine guidance of the Nation of Islam, because it wakes us up. It gives us that knowledge that we didn't have. And now when you know better, you do better. So hopefully, once you understand that, now you do what Sister Mecca talked about, paying attention to the labels. Sister Konisa mentioned studying and doing your own research on what's going into your body. Family, we need to know these medical terms. You got a smartphone. You got a smartphone, right? You look up everything you want to know about Diddy.
Come on.
You
Fact.
look up everything you want to know about some rapper or some influencer on Instagram or some some chick about who she dating and all her business. You know all the celebrity gossip because you got the smartphone and you online, right? So you can find that information out. You can find out information to get to a concert. You can go to birthday bash. You can go to Boosie bash. You can go. You can find all that out on here. But we won't use the phone to Google these words that they put on the labels of our food that we eating that's going into your body and that's going into your children's body.
Shout out to
That
Sister Uriel.
is
Now y'all
an
know I
issue.
mess up words, but Sister Uriel.
Uriel.
Uriel, she said, I subscribed to the channel and found the content profoundly insightful. She said,
Right.
please continue this important work. It's both impactful and necessary. Appreciate you for tuning in to episode 1 of the Collective Podcast. Yes, yes, indeed. My bad, Brother Cam. Just wanted to give a shout out to the audience.
Yes, yes, sir. Absolutely, absolutely. So as we, understanding, we got to take our health more seriously. You know, because we have the ability now. We got the internet in our hand. You can find out all the information that's necessary. Get on this thing and make it useful. Stop becoming a dummy and make yourself more wise. Use your smartphone and find out what these terms mean. They got all these
They got too now.
glycutamate and all of that different stuff that be in the food, the high fructose corn syrup, the
I
gum,
know
and all
exactly
these
what you're
different
talking
terms that they have. Google those terms. Find out what that is and find out if that's something that you should be putting into your body. What are the side effects of the dye and the coloring and all of that stuff so that we can take back control of our lives, family? Because if we're not going to take control of our lives, you sitting back waiting on the God to direct you in a way that's supposed to help you out. It don't work like that. You got to take some responsibility for that. And that's what this is about. So, for those who are just tuning in to the Collective Podcast, I'm your host, Brother King Cam. I'm here with my other host, Brother Ben X, Sister Konisa, and Heck of a Mecca. And tonight we are talking about the controversial pick or nomination rather of RFK, Robert Kennedy Jr., as the Secretary for Health. Hasn't gone through yet, obviously. They waiting on Congress approval, I believe, for that. But the announcement was made. Then we are also now about to segue into some comments and some perspective on what Kim Kardashian had to say about being a single parent, right? So for those who are just coming in, make sure you follow us on our social media platforms. Brother Ben just did the shout out for a sister who said she believes that the content is insightful and that we need to keep doing what we're doing. So shout out to all of those people who are tuned in, family checking in from all over the country. For sure, for sure.
I just gotta say before we move forward that I am so sorry for the screen recording. I forgot to turn on Do Not Disturb. I'm sorry, I won't do that again.
You just made it more. You just made it more noticeable now.
You sure did. You sure did.
No, don't
So-
act like it wasn't noticeable. It came halfway down the screen. Like everybody could see what was there.
It
So-
definitely did, though.
Yeah. Straight up. So now we wanna go ahead and segue over into this Kim Kardashian thing. Who would like to go ahead and jump that off?
Oh, I know one of the sisters got something on that for sure.
Come on, Sister Max. She said, I'll do it.
Oh, are y'all not gonna show what
Oh,
the quote
Kanye.
was?
Oh, yeah. Go ahead with the quote.
Off what you said first. Let me see.
I got the
Yes.
one when he's driving. Do y'all want to start off with the quotes?
Let's
Yeah,
do her
start out
quote
with the
so they know, what she said.
Are you sharing that, brother?
see.
How we gonna share that?
It's not in the
You said, am I saying it?
yeah, if you can share that in document. And
Y'all want to share the actual document or just say the quote?
Well, you can go ahead. Yeah, just go ahead and say it, then.
Yeah, just go ahead and say that. Okay, here we go, brother Cam. There we go.
Yeah, so we have article from BuzzFeed that highlighted Kim Kardashian said that no matter what kind of help she has, she's still basically raising 4 kids on her own. Last month, People magazine reported that Kim Kardashian is pretty much a single mom following her 2021 split from Kanye West, with sources claiming that the rapper is sadly not around very much to parent their 4 children. For reference, Kim and Kanye got married in 2014, and together they share 11-year-old North, 8-year-old Saint, 6-year-old Chicago, 5-year-old Psalm. At the time, an insider said of Kim, although she has help, it's still a lot of work for her to balance and coordinate everything. Kim's life is around her kids' schedules. When they are in school, she works. When they are off, she's very focused on being a mom. And now Kim has opened up about how hard it is to raise her children alone, adding that she doesn't often speak about it because she knows that she will be called out for her privileges, such as having nannies, right? So that's pretty much the gist of that. We do want to
Damn. Good
Beautiful.
God Almighty. Man,
we,
I wasn't even sharing the screen that whole time, boy.
the whole time I was reading.
No,
Nah,
sir.
Okay.
go
It's all
again.
good.
I'm at the top.
But they heard it though. So they got the audio.
Yeah.
They got the audio. So
Yeah.
so Kim Kardashian is feeling like a single mom, you guys, and she understands that she's privileged and she has nannies and a great support system, but she still feels like when she's at home and she's sharing the bed with her children that it is just mind-boggling that she has to do this on her own. So what we want to do is we want to hear from Ye himself on why this may be taking place. We want to hear from Ye. We want to hear from Big Ye.
Yeah, I'm just wishing my daughter a public happy birthday. I wasn't allowed to know where her party was. There's nothing legal. They're saying that these are the kind of games that's being played. At the light, it's the kind of thing that really has affected my health for the longest. And I'm just not playing. I'm taking control of my narrative this year. I'm being the father, the best father, the Ye version of a father, and I'm not finna let this happen. And we're gonna be in real time. Take a slight right turn onto I-405 North. Chicago, happy birthday. I love you. And I'm just putting this online because I need y'all support. I didn't call Kim, text the nannies. I got on the phone with Tristan. He said, he asked Chloe, won't nobody give me the address to my daughter's birthday party right now? And that's going to imprint in her mind that I wasn't there for her. You get what I'm saying? Like,
There it is.
Yeah, you
First of
have
all,
it. So Big Ye spoke. Go ahead, Sister Coney.
that was said before she made that comment, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that was in 2000 and what year was that, brother? Brother
2002.
2002.
22.
2022. So those comments from Ye are from 2022. And the reason for the clip though is my thing is this. My perspective is this. What happens is you get an excerpt from different individuals, words from Kim about how she feels today in 2024. However, we don't get the full scope of what has actually been taking place that led up to 2024. They talked about the split in 2021, right?
Right.
So it's so many different factors that play in that go into why she may be feeling or dealing with the things that she's dealing with right now. So, definitely want to hear from the sisters. I believe Sister Konisa, you wanted to jump in on this. Heavy.
Yeah, I think somebody mentioned what you was reading. Something was mentioned about privilege.
Yes.
And I think that's what we're dealing with here. She does not realize the blessings that she has, even though maybe he's not the average father. And that's probably the reasoning why he's not so active necessarily the way she expects him to be. But that's something she has to realize. Like, she had children with a celebrity, a very active celebrity, and they're no longer together. So yes, you're going to be a single mother. I mean, you have women out here that are single mothers that are truly struggling. Not, again, I don't want to downplay her struggle because she might have her struggle, but she has a nanny to help raise the children. She has a large family to help. So she has a community to help. Her children probably will never go hungry, never without clothes, like a roof over their head. So to say that, like, she's feeling, what she say, like it was hard for her to raise those children alone, I think that's, yeah, she just being very privileged. So,
And you know,
yeah, go
oh
ahead.
my bad, I thought you just finished. No, you finished?
No, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I didn't want to cut you off. But you know, and one thing I see right here is, you know, she need to put these children in their own bed. It says even though we have great support systems and we have big people around us, but sometimes in the middle of the night when they're the kids all sleeping in your bed, kicking and crying and waking up, sis, why you got all these children in your bed at one time? You got. Let me read the ages of these children off real quick. Let's say 11-year-old North, and she got a whole room probably recording music for her daddy next album. I don't understand why she in the bed. Then you got 8-year-old Saint. Saint got a room. She got a room too. 6-year-old Chicago. She got a room. I don't know why she hanging out in there. 6-year-old Chicago and 5-year-old Psalm probably sharing a room because they got similar interests. So I don't know why Kim bed's so crowded at nighttime where she's stressed out. She should be decompressing in the bed alone at that time of night, and all them children shouldn't be in the bed. So that's part of the problem. She got all the damn children in the bed. I just wanted
Yeah,
to
I
point
was
that
gonna
out.
say, like, they way too old to still be in her bed. Like, that's your fault. That's
This
your
is what I'm
fault.
saying. And you talking about you feel like a single mother because you be in the bed and all of them, and you be like, oh my God. Yeah, that's because you're not setting boundaries. See, let's talk about the boundaries that have to be set, you know, with the children. You know, after you reach a certain age, you got to start, you know, allowing them to, you know, kind of branch off, not sleeping in the same bed, not, not just being babies now. When you 11 years old and 8 years old, you know what I'm saying? Like you can sleep in your own bed. It's okay. You know,
I,
it's okay.
I want to hear from the sisters. What is a single mother? What makes someone a single mother?
Someone that does not have a partner that's helping them, a father figure.
So is somebody are they considered a single mother? Are you guys considered a single mother the moment y'all divorce, the moment y'all separate? Or is it just if that person doesn't help at all? So if that person is helping, are they no longer a single mother? Let's clarify that on
That's a
on
good.
on, on what
That's a
makes
good.
someone a single mother.
Because you mentioned if a man isn't helping the mother, I don't think that necessarily qualifies, because for one you would have to detail how it's like he may be helping financially, but is he helping, raise the children in a certain manner, like hands on? I think that person is not a single mother. You know what I'm saying? Like, but what would make a single mother is someone that again just does not have a man in that role as a father figure. Like whether it's financially or in the child's life.
Sister Mecca?
I agree. I mean, I guess when you think about the word, say a single mother. Okay, so if a wife gets divorced, she's a mother. Okay, she would be considered a single mother because now she's single. But if the man is present inside of the child's life, then I don't think that that's considered a single mother parenting. Um, I think that one of the issues with a lot of women is that the role of a father is downplayed so much. So we think that we could do it all by ourselves. And then realizing that when they're not there, how much harder it is, because y'all kind of have like that discipline. Like as mothers, we can discipline, but we're more of like the nurturer, while you guys more so kind of like set the boundaries, set things straight. And so when you don't have that, you're going to have children who are kind of unruly. You're going to have children who not all the time, but a lot of times when a male is not present, you can see it because the children usually tend to be a bit more obnoxious and there's not a lot of boundaries set. Um, so yeah, a single mother is a woman who does not have any type of male help from the father at all, no type of influence on the children or anything.
Sister Ross says, she says she gonna hold off on her thoughts on this one because her perspective wouldn't align with majority of these comments. So I'm wondering, What is your comment? Now, I'm saying Sister Rock because you're going to learn. I don't say names well. I keep wanting to say Uriel. But that's not right, I'm assuming. So I'm going to say Sister Rock for now. But what is your perspective on this? We want to hear from your perspective. But, you know, if Brother Kanye in that video is being denied. Now, of course, we don't know the details, so we don't know why he was denied, why they not telling him. So it's a lot of variables we don't have. But if he's looking like he's striving to be in the child's life, striving to at least, come to the parties and be present, but somebody's denying him, I don't think that's fair either. And I hope, because I know this may be a reality, that some women want to run with the single mother, I'm one deep message when sometimes, or maybe even a lot of times, they don't have to. The man is trying to help. And because they not with the guy anymore, or they feel they got into it with the guy, that they weaponize the children against the father, not knowing it's actually hurting the children, maybe even more than it's hurting the father. Now, of course, the father's going to hurt because he wants to see his child, but them not having that figure, like you said, that can be stern, that can be firm, that can be maybe the opposite of nourishing. They can lay down the law. You know what I mean? I look at mine. When their mother say something, they may cry about it, but when I say it, it like happens. Like it ain't no question. It just happens. It's not even that I whoop them, beat them, or nothing. It's just that figure, that male figure, that masculine figure that balances things. So they need that balance. So you're actually hurting them more than you're helping them. But I was curious to get y'all thoughts about single because I started to look it up, and I was curious from a woman's perspective. Do y'all consider yourselves single just because you're not with the person, or is it only when the father isn't supporting? You know what I mean? And then what is support? Because some people don't care about the money. Some people say, "Oh, all you do is send the money." You know what I mean? What if the brother is able to pick up the child and do those things, but he's not able to provide financially? Is it cool if he only can provide financially? Are they still a single mother? What if the guy is broke and y'all divorced and he ain't really got nothing to send child support $100? You know what I mean? But he's present in the life. Do women still feel like they raising the child on their own? So hearing from a woman's perspective on that would be interesting.
I think that I I think that a man being there physically is more important than financial. Like I know, okay, yes, money is important. It takes money in order to take care of a child, take care of yourself. Yeah, okay. But actually being there, it not only helps the mother, but it's good for the child. And a child is not going to remember, okay, my dad bought me some J's. My dad, you know what I'm saying? Like he's going to remember, oh, he was always at my games. He was always making sure that I was getting my homework done. He was always doing X, Y, and Z, instilling these habits and these values in me. That's going to stand out more to a child than, oh, my dad bought me a Gucci outfit when I was 10. Like him being there is a lot more important. And I mean, some of us we're so caught up in money. I mean, because really, we have help. We have the government. The government
Right.
is going to help a mother. Okay, period. AMHA, housing, food stamps, all that. We're gonna get that. It's most important for him to be present.
And I think most women will agree with that too. And I agree with you. I feel like we would rather have a man be there for the children and make an impression on the child instead of, like she said, provide monetarily for them, because we have so many resources that are provided by the government that we don't need to depend necessarily on a man to provide financially. So I think it would definitely be, you know, we would prefer a man, being involved over the finances. So
What does involved look like to a young girl?
what do you mean, the child
Mm-hmm.
going
Well,
out with the father,
I know
hanging
for
out?
me, my dad was very involved. And so just always being there. When I have a game, I look up, I know I'm gonna see my dad. I have a concert, I know I'm gonna look up, I'm gonna see my dad. He's picking me up, we're spending time together, he's taking me out. I mean, talking. helping me with issues that I have. Like, I'm not a friend because he's not my friend, he's my dad, but just being an example for me of somebody I should be looking for in the future. And a lot of women who do not have those type of relationships with their father usually typically end up being with a man who doesn't treat them right.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, if you have a father who doesn't treat you right, it's still gonna happen. But if you have a dad who is active, who treats you right, typically you're gonna have more success in the type of partner that you find because you've already had an example of what to look for.
Makes sense.
Well, brother Ben, spotlight me, brother.
You
Now,
need to share your screen.
no, I said spotlight, not share screen. I don't know if you can do the spotlight,
Let me see.
but
No, yo, I can solo you now. There you go.
now I'm gonna say this, fam. Minister Nuri said this, that money isn't everything, but it's right up there with oxygen.
You said with
So,
oxygen?
right up there with oxygen. I'm paraphrasing. So, brother Minister Nuri, if you see this, I'm paraphrasing, brother. But, you know, when the study guide talks about struggle for balance, that's what we are really dealing with. It's a struggle for balance. It is not natural for a man to sit around and be with a child all day long. It's just not natural for men to do that. Now, do you and should you be active and be involved and spend that time? Absolutely, because that's what bonding is. And you have to bond with your children. You should want to bond with your children. So spending that intimate time, supporting them at their events, having those important conversations, spending that quality time, daddy daughter time, daddy son time, that is pivotal. But them finances is real too now. That money and
So
that finance is extremely important because especially as they get older, you know, now you can save when they kind of young because they don't have to have fresh clothes all the time. They ain't going to school and they ain't going through all of those different things that society has, put into the minds of our children and just human beings in general as you matriculate through life. But at a certain point, you got girls. For all of the girl dads out here, I'm gonna speak for us. You know what I'm saying? You gotta have that money because nails gotta get done, hair gotta get done. They participating in activities and things of that nature, whether it's dance, whether it's cheer, whether it's basketball or flag football or any type of sports they may be involved in, right? The sisters and the women and the girls, they like to look good. So you're gonna have to spend that bag, and you can't be a girl dad and she looking for money outside of you. Like you got to be the bank to your daughters. You are the bank. So having that financial, being able to provide financially and having that financial impact is important as well. So we really in the struggle for balance, and what we seeing and what was being talked about is where one is more important than the other, and in reality, it's about the struggle for balance because all of it's necessary to have a holistic relationship with your children and with your family. All of it's necessary to have a holistic relationship with your children and with your family. So
but
I
what's
think, man,
what's more what's more specific or more of a priority to y'all? If y'all were outside of the home and y'all have children that are under a different roof with the mother, what would y'all feel like is more important? Spending time with them or like providing a check for them?
You know, it depends, right? Because if
yeah,
it depends because if they're with the mother, majority of the time, money may be more valuable
How so?
if the woman ain't working because they wouldn't have nowhere to live.
Okay, right.
But if there's like custody, joint custody or something like that, half and half, or if they not homeschooling or things of that nature, it will be more valuable to, or if she got a job and she's able to just cover everything, it'll be definitely more valuable to the child because, they spell LOVETIME, right? So, but as far as, they wouldn't have food, they wouldn't have a place to stay, they wouldn't have homeschool, they wouldn't have their mother if the man wasn't providing the money for that. Now, so that's my perspective on it. If she's in a position where she's homeschooling, without his support, she wouldn't be free enough to homeschool. They would be at the enemy school learning. So they may not get the benefit now of or understand what daddy is really doing, because many men probably wouldn't do that or sacrifice for that. They'll see the benefit later. Like, dang, I was able to be homeschooled. I was able to have access to my mom. I wasn't able to, I didn't have to be influenced by the world, because I was able to stay in and be taught and not be influenced by other people. They may not get it till later. You know what I mean? So that's my thoughts. It just depends on their dynamic that they have.
Okay.
I agree with what you said, Brother Kim. It definitely is a struggle for balance. And in Kim Kardashian's case, but she get like $200,000 a month, like in child support, which is absolutely
Right.
insane.
Big bag.
Um,
Big bag.
so, I mean, it's definitely important. Not taking that away from the man, but y'all's presence is also important. But I will say that's something she gonna have to chop. She gonna have to check that up, because it's just natural for majority of the mothering to be, or parenting to be, on the mother. Like it's just kind of natural. Like that's just how things fall naturally in our nature. It's just what it is. Like you're gonna have to suck that up.
Somebody said, should children be with a parent who is mentally unstable? Didn't Kim K say one of the reasons why she left is because of his mental health? She is his wife, so wouldn't she know? Just giving another view.
But didn't
Oh
she know
wow.
that? Didn't she
You
know he
know,
was mentally unstable before they got married? Kanye always been Kanye.
Come on,
did
and
she?
if he wasn't, what made the change while they were together? At what point?
Did you make him go unstable? Oh, did you make him unstable?
Come on. That's very
Well,
possible.
she did say that. She did talk about the instability and the mental health. The instability around mental health and his comments on social media about the children and everything like that. So if that's the case, then I mean, sis, why are you? Then what
That's
are you
even
saying here?
that's even more
What are you
reason.
saying? Right, you already know this. You filed for divorce. Okay.
Yeah.
So then who else? You admitted that nannies are around. You admitted that you got a support system around you. So I don't understand. She needs to make it make sense. If Ye is not who she's talking about, and you got a support system, you got the nannies, who else you need to be around that will help you feel like that you're not a single parent is the question.
Right.
And why you keep having babies with him if you know that he was mentally unstable? Why you keep on having babies?
She had four babies with his mentally unstable self. So that's a good question. Matter of fact, that should be a topic of a conversation in the next show, featuring and highlighting and spotlighting the sisters on why they will go back to a man they know ain't no good. They gonna go. They had one baby with him. He ran off. He deadbeat. But then turn around 2 years later, and she got another baby with him, and then another baby with him. And we try to understand, and then talk about his mental health. Somebody else got some mental health explaining that they got to do as well. I just want to highlight that.
I think this is a great time to segue to our brother Neri as he talks about picking the right one. Look at this right here.
Come on now.
But the most important decision you will ever make in your life after choosing to believe in God is the mate you choose to spend the rest of your life with. Your mate will either inspire you to grow into your greatness, or they'll confine you to complacency. They'll either be your other half, or they'll make you half of yourself. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said, like, a good relationship will make you more youthful and bring out the best in you, and a bad one will age you prematurely and bring out the worst. So choose wisely. But relationship malnutrition, in the sense of husband and wife, means that we as men don't know how to properly love our women, and they don't know how to properly love us. So we end up suffering from a relational malnutrition. And when a human being is malnourished, sickness, disease, and ultimately death visits them.
Ooh-wee. 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 And that right there, as the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has taught us, that the enemy did not want us to learn the science of mating, learning how to choose a good mate. Because what happens is, when you choose the proper mate, you elevate. When you choose the improper mate, you deteriorate.
Mm. You know, that just makes us, you know, that's a reminder for us for just the courtship process, you know, to really get a deeper understanding of what the person has gone through and know what you're getting yourself into when you're making that type of commitment. You know, of course, I think Brother Neri said everybody's going to put on a local representative. So everybody's going to start off with the saying all the great things, but that courtship process is designed to ask questions that will lift. You know, it's like you said, you taking them to court and asking all of the proper questions, because these are the things that ends up happening. Babies come into play. Of course, you're gonna be having sex, so babies coming into play, and you know you gotta, you know, if anything happens, you're gonna break up, and then if you're not comfortable with the children being over there, well, why? If that's the case, why be with them? If that's the case, why be with her? You know, so this ain't just a man thing. It's vice versa. The man should also be investigating and look at what he's getting to. But I think this is just a reminder that what the enemy didn't teach us also was the science of mating, science of warfare, and the science of business. And right now we're talking about the science of mating, because that's important, because now you forever tied to this person. Whether
Forever
you
tied.
like whether you like it or not, y'all have children together. So you're gonna see him at the birthday party, you're gonna see him at the games, you know, you're gonna see him. So just really slowing down. And you know, as we look at these situations, I always try to look at, okay, self-improvement. You know, let's not just talk about celebrity news. This is just a reminder that whenever you're making that level of commitment, like, this is a person you're gonna be dealing with potentially the rest of your life. So how good, or you know, how much of them do you really know? And what can we do to slow down and ask better questions so that we don't find ourselves in a situation like this where you're with somebody and you don't want them to be with the other person who you laid
Mm,
down with?
mm. Good question. Good question. Good question. Well, we want to go ahead and segue into final thoughts. So, you know, for we go ahead and wrap it up for tonight's first episode of the Collective Podcast. We want to thank everybody who have tuned in, commented, and been a part of the conversation. Shout out to the other members of the collective as well. Shout out to Sister Desiree, Brother Evan, Sister Monica, Brother Munikai, brother
Montreal.
Alfonso, aka Malcolm Flex, brother Montreal. We certainly appreciate y'all, Sister Alexia. You know, the rest of the collective in the building as well. So, Sister Konisa, you want to go ahead and hit us with your closing thoughts?
Closing thoughts. So, why you pick me?
I'm trying
Closing
to
thoughts.
sisters first.
Well, yeah, I appreciate that. I think tonight was a very great conversation. Hearing different perspectives. We didn't necessarily agree on everything, but this was a great dialogue, and I look forward to, you know, more episodes with us. Mecca.
Sister Mecca.
I second everything that you just said.
Okay, so let me
Man,
stop you
get
right there.
this
What
I
we gonna
second
do is we're
everything
gonna
stuff.
stop with I second everything, or I totally agree with everything said before me. No, you're gonna give your own unique perspective, your own unique closing.
Okay. Well, I wanted to say this before you went into this segue. So I'll close with this, is that I wanted to say that we have to screen ourselves as women, and we have to be careful with who it is that we choose, like Mary did. She screened herself and she sought refuge in her Lord. If you want to be with a specific type of man, if you want to be with a man that is like your Lord, who provides, who creates, and who does what he's supposed to do, then that means that you have to search for it and you have to be that yourself.
Come on, MGT.
Come on
So
with it.
that's what
Come
I
on
want
with
to
it.
end with, is that you have to be what you seek.
Yes,
Come
ma'am.
on now. Come on now. That's how you do that. That's how you do that. So for me, I believe this is a beautiful, holistic discussion tonight. And it's important for us to be able to highlight and pinpoint the issues of society and our culture that the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and the honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan has given us the solution to if we would submit. We constantly see the problems, but are we implementing the solutions? And tonight
Mm.
we discuss the solutions here on the Collective Podcast, and we invite you all to come back next week to hear more about those solutions via the teachings of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad and the honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan.
Yes,
sir.
indeed. And we want to thank everybody inside the chat who's been here, man. Sister Rob, we got Black Network, we got ATOM Adam, we got Sister Alexia, we got Sister Desiree, we got Brother Evan in the chat. So we appreciate everybody who's in the chat.
Strategist.
Everybody.
I'm
The
sorry to interrupt.
strategist.
We got time for guests to call in.
The
Yeah,
strategist.
yeah, we
Brother
do
Evan
have.
said the
If
strategist.
anybody wants to come on, we do have that. But they said somebody next time. But if you got
Okay.
Yeah, next,
somebody that do want to come on, they can.
Oh, not this time. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, nope, we're good.
Brother Evan said the strategist is his name.
The strategist,
I
okay,
got correct. I got
brother
correct. Yeah.
strategist.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody said, "I hope there's a theme song." We're gonna have to get us a little. We're gonna have to get us a little intro or something
Yes,
like
Right.
we
that.
got
We're
to
gonna
get an
make
intro.
something.
Yes, yes. We're going to grow and we're going to develop, and we want to create a community, family, for y'all
Yeah.
to be able to join us and follow and just be a part of the collective as we continue this work using social media as a tool to go after our people and fish them out of the sea of sin, family. So, man, we definitely want y'all a part of the journey. So, Brother Ben, you going to go ahead and close us out, Black?
Yeah, man. Listen, just come back next week every Saturday. I believe at this time, 9 p.m. Central Time, we're going to strive to consistently do this. We're going to hit current events. Sometimes we may just be dialoguing about the teachings. So those of y'all who are in the comment section, when we kind of wrap up the show, we would like for you guys to come up, ask questions. We'll shoot y'all the link. We can dialogue and close this thing out. We want this to be interactive, man. So share with your friends and family. Let's grow this as a community. We got 11 people tonight. If all of y'all share it to 2 people next week, we'll double or triple those numbers. So let's grow this organically, and we'll see y'all next week.
Absolutely. All right, family. Peace.
Peace.